Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tabletopped. Today, we have such a great episode. I'm so excited. We are reviewing / talking about the Delta Green system. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you haven't. Maybe that's by the design of the organization running everything that Delta Green does. But we'll find out a little bit about the system and its setting today. Of course, it's me, your host, Nick. We have Shade in the studio, but also returning is enemy of the pod #1. He's been on the FBI wanted list. We haven't been able to pin him down quite yet, but he's broadcasting in. He's taken over our airwaves to give his opinions about Delta Green. We also have Tim. Tim, welcome back to the podcast. How are you? Oh God, I didn't notice that.
Sorry, that
like
was
Waluigi style mustache.
No, sorry, there was something in my throat. It must have been like a mustache hair. Hi, thanks for having me back to talk about my esoteric crap.
Before we get in, I do want to clarify, we don't have the clout to work with the actual FBI. Our FBI is the Franco Bureau of Investigation.
Yeah, Franco Bureau.
Yeah.
It's
and
literally
honestly,
furniture.
Franco's been having a lot on his plate lately, so he's been real behind on his investigation.
Which is how Tim, enemy of the pod, slipped in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll catch him one day.
Whoa! Wiretapping! He was wiretapping us.
God damn it!
You guys told me that this was secure.
Sorry. This is just an error, little glitch in the system. Don't ignore me. I'll just wash dishes.
Okay, see you, Franco.
Bye, Franco.
Everyone destroy your SIM cards and destroy your phones and leave them in scattered about places that
everyone
cannot be
just
recovered.
breaks their phones in front of the camera. Okay, so Delta Green. This is something that I had been hearing about for a while. I don't know when it was released, but it was like a good time ago, right? 2021, maybe? Like
15.
When was this? 15?
Jesus.
Oh, jeez.
It's also, before that, it was a Cthulhu mod, basically,
Yeah, and it's basically sort of backrooms, SCP style. That's like the setting essentially that you're operating in. Tim, you were so generous to offer to run a one-shot as you wanted to test out the system. So Shade and I were able to pop by and do that. Can you talk a little bit about what kind of piqued your interest about the system and a little bit about the system in general that you wanted to run?
I, as Shade has been the victim of, every game I run is usually devolves into some form of I like mystery, some kind of existential mystery of some kind that, the players or even myself get to discover as we go. So that big hook of lost knowledge, lost, or forbidden knowledge even, and just, the hidden world beneath our own, that's a thin veil between true reality and the reality that we know. That type of angle is what I'm all about. In college, one of my English classes was an entire class dedicated to H.P. Lovecraft, so of course I've been hooked on that sort of thing. Not the man; he was a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's.
but the mythos that he was able to conjure. And Delta Green, obviously being a spinoff of the Call of Cthulhu system, obviously makes reference to, everyone's favorite Cthulhu, and all the other associated gods. So that's what really drew me into it. But the other little added piece of spice, sure, I know how to cook, was that they really put a focus on the home life of your agent. Now that's one of the things we'll get into a little bit later, but that's one thing we neglected from our little one shot was the home life, so like basically you can separate like this: Call of Cthulhu Mythos games, that's where you're all about the high adventure. You're going to the lost temples, the hidden jungles, blah 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 blah, the hollow earth. Delta Green is like, you can still do some of that, but also this is going to take a toll on you and your relationships in your private life.
Yeah. One of the things that you said when we were building characters, and something that's in the book too, because I was reading, how to build a character and everything, it is pretty blatant in the book. It's like, hey, by the way, Delta Green doesn't pay any of these people.
Yeah.
It's like, this is purely like them being like good Samaritans, I guess, or like feeling a call to a higher power of like trying to save the world in some way, to apply their skills in a way that is, for country or whatever, for the world. And I thought it was really interesting because it does make you get bonds as well, where it's just like people who are outside your sort of crew of people working on these mysteries, and they are people that are your real tethers to the real world, and everything else is sort of like, basically all of the gameplay is being pulled out of your real life into this like really intense, not real life for like, a couple of weeks or however long it takes you to solve the mystery. And then it kind of shunts you out the other end back into the normal world, which I thought was a really interesting mechanic.
Yeah, it's referred to as the conspiracy.
Yes.
Because of how shadow it is. I mean, and throughout I'm sorry, Shay, did you want to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't think that these are good people. That, like, I don't. No. Like, honestly, one of the, we can get into this. I was just going to note, like, we're clearly operating by like terrorist cell operations. Like, you are a group of like 3 or 4 people, and you may have contact with another cell, but that's it. And that's like classic, like,
it's all alphabetized by the English alphabet. A cell is the cell that rules all the others. You answer to A cell.
Yeah, and I thought it was really interesting too that like some of the rules that your handler in this one shot kind of gives you, but also just like in the book, it's like, if A cell tells you to do something, that is something you should do. You should always trust your fellows, except if A cell tells you to lie to your fellows, then you do that. Yes. Which I thought was just like, ah!
It's basically hyper compartmentalization because of the dangerous things with which you are facing off against, and trying to limit the shrapnel that comes from it.
Yeah. And also, like, I thought that one thing that's really interesting, we'll get into how this is portrayed via mechanics as well, but I really like the idea, because in the setting that's from the book, but also just in the general sort of how to expect going about your adventure, is that this group is like, it is a funded group that has power, and like a lot of high level people in their industries are part of it, but also they have no power over the real world. Like, if you get caught by the police, you're caught by the police and like in jail, and they're not going to come and get you unless they really need you for something.
Right.
So like it's a very interesting way of like applying restraints upon, like, you can't really be a murder hobo in this system. Not that you would want to be, but like, you can't really do that because the police will get you and then like kind of everything is over.
And also,
I think is interesting.
And also being if you're a murder hobo in this game, you become a rogue Delta Green agent, with which congratulations, retire your character. That character is now the mission.
Yeah.
But also, violence in this game is treated incredibly with the weight that it should be treated with, which is, if you're going to attack anything, even if it's a creature using non-Euclidean geometry, you got to roll you got to make a sanity check. Which, again, one of the things I should point out, sanity, you can just switch that with the word stress.
Anxiety.
Yeah, stress, anxiety, whatever. But it's still the same thing. But if you're going to do any type of violence, roll sanity. Did you fail it or did you succeed in it? If you succeed, congratulations. Maybe you lose 1 sanity. Yeah. If you fail, you lose X amount, but now proceed to do the combat. So yeah.
This is it very much feels almost like a lot of survival horror games. Like it mechanically works very well at the slow depletion of resources.
Yes.
And it kind of has built that into all of the different aspects of the game. Like you were saying, like if you're going to attack, you have to start spending your stress levels. You have to start kind of spending this like this non-fungible token that you can't get back, essentially.
Your soft currencies.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very much like, okay, depending on your character, you might have a super low sanity stat, which it basically has the way it works is that you have a max level and then you also have a minimum before something bad happens.
Your breaking point.
Kind of mental state. Yeah. And usually it's like 15 points between those two. And then there's like, a floor. So for example, you might have 75 is your max and then 60 is your breaking point. And then everything below that is like, you still have stuff to use down there, but it gets worse and worse.
Yeah. You get a breaking point means you get a disorder. How does that disorder continue further along? That's for the home part of the thing to decide. And then, if your sanity or stress goes to 0, that character is essentially donezo. Yeah. They're breaking. They're beyond the breaking point. They're beyond the pale. That can mean whatever we would want it to mean while running the game. There is a way to come back from that, but also point of just to be like a nitpicker, but like, you don't have a maximum sanity. You have current sanity.
Gotcha. I thought
There's
it was
never
max level.
You can never have like whatever your current sanity is you can only go high as your current. Is never a maximum per se.
Yeah. That's very good to know. Because like there is, that it's basically how they track all of the different like the HP total is kind of functions in a similar way.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah, why don't we talk a little bit about the system in general, like what kind of system is it and all that kind of thing. And then I would love for Shade, you and I to sort of give our thoughts around the character build process, and then we can all talk about sort of our experiences in the one shot that we ran. And I would love to Tim kind of focus on as well, like your thoughts on running it, and we can talk about our thoughts on as players, because I feel like this game is like it's very interesting. It is unlike a lot of games that I've played in that it feels like it has the potential to be hugely crunchy or not crunchy at all, depending on how you play. Like it really depends on how you want to play the game.
And the game will outright tells you that in the rule books. This is a very rules heavy game. It is intimidating, which is another reason what drew me to it, because I've run D&D my entire life. I can riff on that at a drop of a hat. Like I don't need no stinking books anymore, man. Like just give me a polyhedral dice set and I can whip something up for you guys. Yeah. However, this is like, give me some gnarly crunch, because it's predominantly a D100 system. Though you do use your 4d6 drop lowest when rolling one's stats. That's kind of the exception. The other exception is if you use like random generators to like, well, what is my motivation? Roll a d12 beyond the table. But when you're running the game, you're playing the game, you're rolling d100, which is, for those who don't know, if you're running this d100 system, roll at it or under it, your number, your percentage. And this system is, so if I have a search skill of 50, I need to roll 50 or under to be successful. However, every double digit up to 50 is a critical success. So 11, 22, 33, 44. Those are all critical successes. The inverse is true. If I go over 50, it's a fail. But if I double over like 55, 66, etc., that's a fumble. And that's when like the real ultimate penalty like gets kicked in, which is funny because it says fumble and it feels soft, but it's really not.
It was interesting too, because like this is my first time playing in a D100 system, and my very first, I guess Mothership was also.
I was gonna say, I feel like there's definitely at least one other.
At least
very
one,
similar.
Oh, he's back.
The ghost is back.
You told me the line was secure. Goddamn.
It's just like the Mothership is phoning in. That sounds like Mothership. Yeah.
Parliament Funkadelics here. This is amazing.
One thing that I noticed while we were playing is that we did roll a couple of critical failures, fumbles, as you were.
Yeah.
And I think that it was interesting because it was. Did you feel like it was hard to adjudicate what that meant in certain situations? Because I know that there was one where I was like walking up to a cottage and I fumbled, and it was like you put your hand on the bar, like the railing and it snaps, and now you broke the railing.
Depending on the situation, yeah. So that was a very low stakes situation that you were in. So it's like, well, something's got to happen.
Yeah.
And then upon reflection, I could have maybe introduced something a little bit sooner, but instead I chose it to make it just like a mundane, like a cat gag in a horror movie, where just a loud sound, freak out. Okay, calm down. but yeah, looking back, I could have done something better. But real quick though, I realized I trailed off talking about D100 stuff is how rules heavy this game is. Again, the game explicitly tells you, unless it's incredibly interesting or high stakes, don't roll. And or it's basically ignore this rule because there are a lot of rules, guys, and you need to, so it's very understanding of like, I am a crunchy system, but also, you guys can have fun.
Yeah. Did you so when you were running it, did you find that like hard to adjudicate as well? Because I feel like in our what you ran was a written module that is published by the Delta Green publisher, right?
Yeah,
like
it's called
official.
It's official one shot. It's called Last Things Last.
Yes,
it's published by the good people at Arc Dream Publishing.
Yeah, and it was like very great. Like it was super thematic. It was great. Due to the circumstances of the situation that it poses to you, there is a time limit, but it's not too press. It's not like you have an hour to figure this out. You have like 72 hours or something like that.
Yeah, 48.
48, yes, 2 days. And so then the thing became, for me, like I was thinking about this afterwards, if I was running the system and it specifically says like, if this is not a time sensitive moment, or like this is something super interesting, like if it's not those things, then don't roll. It's like, when do I roll? Because then the system is like, okay, you're searching this apartment, you have 2 days before anyone comes into the apartment, so it's not like we're in a rush before someone burns down the building trying to find something. So like, how did you adjudicate when to add the sort of like the mechanics of the game in, rather than just us kind of chatting through certain situations?
I mean, so that's the balance you got to strike. And for me, it was just kind of looking at what y'all were doing around the table and be like, well, we need some engagement, reel them back in, throw a dice roll, simple things like that. But it was also the fact, give something to do. But it's also the fact that one of the important skills of this game is accounting. And one of our characters is a finance bro. Thus, he was good at accounting. And there was literally a whole part in the one shot that says like, an unskilled agent will take 12 hours to sift through this paperwork.
Yeah. It took us 6, right?
It took you 6 hours of game time for one guy with good accounting skills to go through it. The opportunity there was deduct 1 hour per agent that helps, even if they're unskilled.
Yeah.
So we were able to be like, okay, well, this agent is now going to be locked down for 6 hours. Are they cool with that? They understand, like before, like going into this, I explained it to the player. I'm like, this is what's going to happen. And he's like, yep, that is fine. That's what I am expected to do, because that's the other thing. You set your expectations kind of low because you're a person, you're a regular human being.
Yeah.
You're not the hero of any story. You're the hero of your own story, trying to make sure you come home alive and mostly intact.
Yeah.
So with those expectations met, this player was totally fine to be like, well, my accounting skills 60%, I can do it in 6 hours. Great. He's off in a room somewhere, going through the books, cut to rest of the group doing things, and then there we go from there.
Yeah.
And if it's something interesting, I want to hide it behind a die roll as opposed to just like, oh yeah, you open a drawer, boop, oh look at that, a key. What do you know? Because my skill in search is 80%. That's a god tier, not search skill, but like, come on, it feels cheap if you're just like, narrated to me, thanks. No, take part in your action. It's you have agency.
Yeah, going back to what you were talking about around like the skill levels, the book is pretty interesting because it gives you skill levels based on your stats, but also certain like kind of genres of actions you could try to do. So you have stats, I think that they're pretty classic. It's like dexterity, like constitution, like some of the classic stat lines that you'd see in any TTRPG.
Of course, yes.
And it's basically 20% or 20 in any of those is like you're a novice at this. 40 is like, oh, you're pretty good at this. 60 is like you're really well trained, and then 80 is like you have a PhD in this.
It's kind of worse than that. I think it was something like 80% is like amazing, but like it's kind of like you just do this in your sleep. And I think it was like 50% reflects a college education.
Yeah.
Or 50% is fluid in a foreign language. So like when you think of fluency in a language and that's 50, holy crap.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so it's pretty interesting too, because like this was because of how that works. you have a lot of skills on your sheet that are very low. Like I had a lot of zeros on my sheet. And I also had specific things that were all 50 or higher, you know, because like I was like kind of a medic. So that was where I put all my points, was like into medical / surgery skills.
Right.
And I thought that it was really interesting because this was one of the first games that I really felt the dynamic of the group approaching something. It felt so much more like, I don't know if I could do this on my own, because my skills are just not going to allow me. But like Shade and the other folks at the table all had a diverse enough set of characters that we had like a pretty good distribution of skills, and it kind of forced everybody to do stuff, which was cool.
Yeah. And even if you don't, and there's a lot of skills you don't need to train in to be decent at. And by decent, I mean like everyone, there's a lot of skills that are just by default is a 20% chance.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, and just for people playing at home, yeah, it is 80 to 99% is a lifetime's pursuit or multiple doctorates.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, it's crazy. And it made sense for one of our characters to have a search skill of 80% because they were basically they're an anthropologist, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so that was interesting. Shade, I kind of want to talk a little bit with you about character creation, because this was like Tim basically reached out to us digitally and was like, hey, you want to play this game? This is the sheets that you need to fill out. And here's the book, because they give you a PDF when you buy the book. So great. We love Delta Green. So when we talk about character creation, is there anything that you noticed? Because, you know, character creation is always kind of like a sub game in the greater TTRPG. What did you think about putting together your character? Anything that came up for you?
Well, you know, I think this is a small thing, but it's one of my favorite things about it. But it is an agent form. So, you know, one of the things I think that's really neat about Delta Green is it's very good at nailing its aesthetic.
Yeah.
So like you are putting an agent name. There's a sign-off section for your supervisor. You know, you're essentially filling this out like you might imagine filling out like I'm applying for, you know, the FBI or something like that. There's also a lot of crunch inside of the character creation itself. You know, you and I talked a little bit about this separately, but it does have a bit of a Pathfinder feel to it, almost, in that you're really fine-tuning what you're good at.
Yeah.
In a way that I don't know, like D&D does this too, but it feels more so in a game like this.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, because like in D&D you can pick, you know, like let's say fighter. So you pick fighter, that's your archetype, and then you're like, ooh, but I want my character, one character that you've always wanted to build, Shade, is a fighter with 2 spiked shields. I think I remember that.
Yeah.
And so you were sort of like building that, and you're trying to figure out of like the 3 subclasses that comes with fighter. At now it's like, you know, 12 or whatever it is.
Sure.
But trying to figure out what you could best skin this as. Whereas Delta Green, I would agree, it's more Pathfinder-y with like that feat selection table and everything, where you can say, yeah, I am because you're picking an occupation, but this occupation is super broad.
Yeah. Like that's the other thing that I think really differentiates it from like is more like Pathfinder. Backgrounds matter a lot.
Yes.
And that's with that occupation, but also the background, and you're also creating a lot of like ties, like because there is that home life mechanic in the game that, you know, we didn't really touch on too much for the one shot, but it's there. You're essentially saying like, these are 3 relationships that define me, and these relationships are going to probably be broken over the course of this character as they continue to dive deeper and deeper and deeper into the conspiracies.
Yeah.
And lose. And
it literally is it's made into a mechanic where you can offload bad things that happen to you by breaking bonds. So like, you know, the example, Tim, that you gave me, because one of my bonds was a pet turtle. And it's like Tim was like, yeah, well, how that could work is that, you know, you broke this bond or whatever. You forgot to feed or have someone take care of your turtle while you were away. You didn't know you were going to be away for 2 weeks. You come back and the turtle is like sick or dead or whatever.
Not dead. Well, come on.
Not dead, but maybe at the end of the bond.
He won't kill that turtle. He's no shredder.
Yeah. I will not dine on tonight on turtle soup. Thank you very much.
But so I thought that was really cool. And then, yeah, so you pick sort of your background or your occupation, which is something like firefighter or bureaucrat, accountant, business executive. All these things are available. There's more. It really doesn't pen you into any specific set of them either. You can kind of make up your own background.
You definitely build your own, yeah.
Yeah, and then it kind of gives you like, if you choose firefighter, then you're probably good at these things, and it kind of gives you a selection of skills that it automatically boosts in you. But then you have a selection that you can then boost other skills up to 80%. And by kind of doing like a little bit of a point buy kind of system where you're kind of sinking in some of your resources into being good at certain things. And there's like so much cool stuff you can do in there. Like I wanted to be somebody who had been brought into Delta Green because I had seen something happen before and had sort of bumped up into the world, but hadn't stepped fully into it. And so Tim was able to give me sort of a part of a background, part of the character creation that's like, yeah, you're like more stressed than most people. Like your mental health score is going to be lower. Yeah. And because of that, you are going to be able to dump more ability points into things because you have already experienced something. This isn't your first rodeo. And so that's just like really cool. I really love something that allows you to take an idea and then really fine tune it to a specific thing that you want to play. Because I feel like D&D and some of the more broadly not appealing, but like something that's like more broad as a system, less crunchy. They basically say like, here, choose out of these archetypes. Like Monster of the Week does that. Like, hey, you're a divine character that has come down, and you definitely have wings because there's like a bunch of skills in here that says you have wings. So like this allows you to be a little bit more specific and a little bit more non-conventional if you want it to be, which I thought was cool.
For sure.
Yeah. And just like, and it also goes back to like, real world equipment. One of our characters had a BlackBerry, but because it took place in 2009, but unfortunately he had to relinquish it at the start of the mission. Yeah. So he's like, oh, what happened? BlackBerry.
Damn it. But I thought that like that all that stuff was pretty cool. I did not dive into the equipment as much as I should have. Like I literally got to there and I saw that your equipment list, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't do that.
Sorry, that's so unlike you, Nick. You love equipment.
Yeah, I love tracking inventory.
No, absolutely. No, but I will say, so I'm kind of like middle ground on this. I think Franco's our real equipment pervert if he's still listening. But I really liked this equipment system because it felt very like I won't think too much about having a second greatsword in my inventory in D&D, even though fucking what are you talking about? That's I've carried a lot in my life. That's nonsense. Don't do that. That's too many things on your back. And you got a bag of holding, great. But in this, because I think it grounds you in that realism so much, again, it's very good with its aesthetic.
Can you describe the system? Is the system in the room with us now?
Is the system in the room with us now? Tim would have the rule book, so I will leave that to him.
But are you talking about what precisely do we want to talk about when it comes to equipment, fellas?
Well, so I
think
maybe
like how it works and like how you pick it, maybe something like that.
Yeah, describe it slowly.
Jesus.
Well, the ghost of Franco's being very specific.
when an empty go bag and a hike and a nutrient bar fall in love.
Well, they don't have to be in love.
They don't have to be in love. But anyway, so what it is basically some of your backgrounds will come with equipment, some will not. But basically, it's expected at the start of a session is the agents are contacted by a handler. Their covers are given. The agents' code names are given. Because again, agents don't know each other's personal lives. You're all supposed to be strangers.
Yeah.
And that's when equipment is usually doled out if you don't have starting equipment. The handler will give you things pertinent to the quest, shall we say. Be it like, listen, you're all, for this mission, we got you all FBI cover. Your covers, you're FBI agents. So here is all the kit that goes with an FBI agent. The jacket, the badge, the ID, the sidearm, et cetera, et cetera.
And there you go. The sidearm's where I wanted to kind of drill down on this, because I was actually an FBI agent as my character. And it specifically was describing how I had this tactical belt, what was on that belt, how many clips were inside of that belt.
Magazines.
And also, magazines. Yes, apologies. And also my sidearm, and where the fuck is that sidearm on my body? Right. Which is important.
It is. Yeah. It is incredibly important.
And that felt fun.
Yeah.
That felt fun.
And it's very granular, so Delta Green is an American organization, thus a lot of the setting takes place in America. It goes so far, when we talk about firearms in this game, it adheres to current firearm laws in the United States, which is, unless you're military or law enforcement, you don't have fully automatic weapons. And they specify that, like, it's the difference between one-handing a longsword and two-handing a longsword, basically. Like, they have two different stat blocks for your light rifle, be it this flavor and this chambered in this caliber, and that affects your damage and lethality, etc. So
and it's cool because I love a lot of the inventory system too. Like, when it comes to weapons, I want to kind of kick it back to you two to kind of talk about how that stat block is sort of broken out. But a lot of the items that you use are more like, be creative. How can you use this to help this moment? It's just like it's almost like prompt, like inspiration for like how you want to approach something. You can look at your sheet and be like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. Oh, look, I have this tarp or like this rain jacket or something that is non-porous. Maybe I can move the gel monster with that or something. But when it comes to like weapons, because there is a combat mechanic side to this game, how is that drilled down in? And when because like, Shade, you had a 22 and you had like a Colt or something,
a 9mm.
The 9mm.
And so like at least I think it was a 9. Anyway, it is just a difference. So there's different like firing lengths, ranges. That's the word that I wanted. There are different ranges, of course. There are different dice depending on what you're shooting with. There's a bit of bullet tracking, of course. I've got those 2 mags in my pouch, but after that, what happens? And you're not dealing with creatures that you really want to be fighting, not only because combat is really harrowing for people. Like, people should avoid violence. Like, it is exactly, it is very, but also these creatures, you want to avoid violence because it is literally trying to fight a bear with a toothpick kind of experience. A lot of times
you're fighting the unnatural, and that is a skill. There's a skill in this game called the unnatural, and you cannot train in the skill. So all your skills get better. How you level up in this game, if you want to level up, if you want to equate that to it, is if you fail a skill roll, mark that you failed it, because congratulations, you're going to get better at that skill with a D4%, boom, now I'm like, But I will say, in the unnatural being the one skill you can't train at, you just have to be exposed to it.
Yeah. Which is also like usually comes with like a big negative. Like few natural things that our team was exposed to took, like, you found a 3 centimeter glass orb. Yeah, that was magnetic. And I was like, magnetic,
and it freaked people out because it defied the laws of physics that we know. Yeah. It's that's why I say it stresses you out as opposed to roll sanity, because you're going to go crazy. But that was the other thing about Delta Green that I appreciate over Call of Cthulhu's stereotype. Call of Cthulhu's stereotype is the sanity, wind up in a padded room, foaming at the mouth. no, their sanity means like stress, and you're going to get disorders from it, and the disorders are treated realistically with respect.
Yeah.
No one's saying like, you're a gibbering, blubbering mass that just, keeps riding in feces in their cell. No, it's like, you have complex PTSD now. What does that mean? Or you have,
or like you can't sleep. Like,
yeah,
I think
you have insomnia.
One.
Yeah, you have insomnia now. Congratulations.
Because you saw like a horrible, hideous monster that shouldn't exist, and now you can't sleep. Which is like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
or you just saw something that could not be explained that freaked you the hell out. And so, and then again, that's when you choose, when you lose that sanity, am I going to divert this to a bond of mine, or am I going to take the hit?
So that I think that's pretty comprehensive around like character and gear and all that kind of stuff. So let's go back to the actual one shot. The one shots that this system pumps out, Tim, you were saying are all pretty high quality, and I can say from the one you ran for us, I had a blast. I really enjoyed that story and the setting and like how it was portrayed to us. But do you have anything you want to talk about when it comes to how they've built their one shots and like what they sort of give you when it comes to those adventures? Because there's a lot of them, if I remember correctly.
So I mean, they have a lot of campaigns, full-on campaigns. Like Delta Green's known for its modules, to use an old Grognard term. And so the one shot that they gave us, it was, last things last. It's very compact. You have 48-hour time window. It's meant to get you going. It's supposed to give you a taste of investigation. It gives you a taste of uncovering a mystery, and it gives you a taste of you're confronted with the unnatural, because why not? Do we want to talk how in detail? Do we want a spoiler? Do we want to put a spoiler tag for people?
Spoiler warning here for Last Things Last.
Yeah,
the Delta Green module.
So okay. If anyone wants to run Delta Green and they want to start with Last Things Last, which I recommend, I thought was wonderful.
Yes,
it is a great entry point.
Yes,
absolutely.
If you're going to be a handler, keep listening. If you're going to be a player, please skip to the time code, whatever it will be.
Like a minute from now, let's say.
You're being generous. I can talk.
Yeah, I was going to say, no. We are going to tangent hard.
We're going to tangent hard. So, last things. So, ultimately ends with a confrontation of the unnatural, that being a former agent's resurrected deceased wife.
That's an interesting way to phrase that.
The body of
exactly, or
the
should
resurrected
I say,
body of
the body of this former agent's deceased wife.
Yes,
the whole story of that is this former agent passed away from a massive heart attack, and you are sent in to clean up his things before his family comes to collect his things. Basically, scour it. There has to be no mention of Delta Green or the organization or the group or whatever euphemism or the conspiracy, and that eventually leads you to an off-the-books cabin he owned in whatever rural setting you want. We chose New Hampshire because it was close to Boston, which is where we set the game in, and you get there and you uncover the reanimated corpse of his wife in a septic tank that is no longer a septic tank, because it's inhabited by a creature called the Other.
Yeah. One thing that I really enjoyed about this, and I was talking to Shade briefly before, and Tim, I want to get your sort of like how you thought about it as a handler. I really loved that this game, like the way you approach it is the whole game. Like it is literally, how is your group going to approach this like pretty weird, unnatural sort of thing? Like we sort of got enough information pretty quickly to sort of know where we were heading, and then once we were there, we sort of got a good sense of like something bad is happening, and then the game sort of is like, okay, I've given you all of that. How do you as players want to deal with this? And it was all about us, like our morality, the way that we look at the world, our backgrounds and intelligences. Like, why would we suspect this, or why would we just do as we're told? Because the note that the previous agent, the one who has died, has left is like, do this specifically. It's like gives you an instruction list.
Yeah.
And so it's then all about like, do you trust that person? Do you think that person was like upheld the Delta Green way and is like actually trying to do good? Do you not trust this person? Because it seems like they may have been holding a person in the backyard, you know?
In a septic
and like
tank,
even in the note, it's like, please God forgive me, and you're like, oh, am I just like aiding and abetting something horrible if I do what he says? And I thought that was great because that was so fun. Like that was really fun to like just talk out at the table. Like, I think we should approach this way, or I don't think we should think about this. But let's go like look around and see like if we can talk to the thing in the septic tank, you know, all that kind of thing.
Which is great because I knew the players that I had. I'm like, I know, I have a feeling how this will shake out when they're confronted with it, and it kind of did. Yeah. Not to say that I'm a mastermind of like of manipulation, just that like I had a feeling Nick and Shade were going to fall on this side of the coin, and our other players, Erica and Walter, were going to fall on this side of the coin, and I could count on Erica to be like, but I want to talk with it.
Yep.
And I'm like,
well, she chose an anthropologist.
Exactly.
That's perfect.
Exactly. I'm like, thank you. This is why you're here. Meanwhile, Shade, Nick, you guys are like, he told us to burn it with gasoline, so we're just gonna.
To be fair, we did check
you did check.
Like we were like, okay, ask it this question, and then it kind of reveals itself as like, that's that thing ain't real. This whatever this is not her.
Yeah. You did vet it, but like while you're vetting it, you're just like, well, just in case.
We're preparing.
This jerry can of gasoline isn't going to bring itself out of the shed. I'm just saying, you know.
And it's literally like at one point we were like, so how long have you been in there? And she was like years, like 7 years or something. And I was like, no fucking way. Is somebody alive down there?
Sorry. Hey, tangent real quick. I had why I really, I mean, in addition to just the correct thing to do, you need to vet. You don't want to be aiding and abetting a monster.
Yes.
But I had also just recently finished, and this is spoilers for Department Q on Netflix. If you like crime drama stuff, Department Q was pretty interesting. And there is a poor woman who for like 4 or 5 years in this show is in a situation that's kind of like this. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, I really, really need this to be a monster. Yeah. Because if it is not, I am going to go rogue. I have to go rogue.
But this is the other thing too that's crazy is like, if that person in the tank is not a monster and comes out and is like, oh my God, my husband like kept me in and did all this weird stuff. It's like, as Delta Green agents that are trying to tie up loose ends, what are we expected to do in that situation? Which this is the horror of the game, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. There is a dangling thread from your story because you had a run-in with the neighbor of the deceased agent who will remember your face if we ever 100%. Wanted to pull that thread.
That's, I mean, to your point, Nick, all of you were a liability in my eyes. I would have gone rogue if it had been a human person, but Erica's character is talking like and ask and I at one point she was like, I'm jotting all this down. I was like, are you doing that in secret? Because I was like, if I see that ain't I'm gonna burn that book. Yeah. The finance bro was a cokehead, and you had literally flirted with this neighbor in a fashion. I was like, yeah.
Well, this is the thing is that I wasn't flirting. I was just sort of like caught in a moment. Yeah, I was caught in a moment where I was like, I have to try to be charming and forgettable.
and that came from a failed stealth roll.
Exactly, and that was great. Yeah. I did enjoy that like failure felt as though you were expanding future possibilities rather than like
always fail forward.
Exactly. But like Delta Green is great for that too, it feels like. And
I will say in terms of how the scenario was, run, y'all did the smart thing, which was you talked to it. Thankfully, Erica rolled really well on her Hume int skill, because that is a skill, to deduce that this thing's talking kind of funny. Meaning it sounds like it's reading from a sheet, and because the stat block for the other is when it possesses the body of a deceased creature, it has access to all of its memories. But it's not the deceased thing. So like she was able to deduce, hey, this sounds like it's a rote conversation. And so I mean so way to go, and that's what helped push things over the edge. But the game, like, there would, if you guys opened up this locked tank and looked inside, it would have been abundantly clear that this woman is a corpse.
Yeah. Well, but this is the thing too, is like it being all about the approach, is that if we had gotten to the cabin and it was nighttime and we did it, but like you were like, how do you want to, are you checking the perimeter? Are you going through the front door? Are you trying to go through a back door or anything? If we had gone to the yard first and not found any of the notes or anything that the guy left, then we would have just heard somebody in a tank being like, please let me out. Like,
please help me.
This tank. And maybe that would have been our first thing, would have been like, oh, this guy was nuts. We got to get this person out.
But also I think that TPK, but
yeah. But also the thing that is really cool about this setting, I guess, but also like the way the rules run, is that it sets your players up to be like, unless they want to play the rookie, like they have a vague understanding that they are being employed by this organization to deal with really hard, crazy, unnatural stuff in some way. So like, even if we did sort of run into a question like that of like, oh, there's someone knocking on this tank, should we open it? Then it's like, well, let's like run through sort of the other things it could be. You know?
Well, there's also the opportunity to that a Delta Green agent in a game could be a quote unquote friend of the organization, meaning they're not fully like vetted into the conspiracy, but they are instead like, listen, we're going to take a risk on this person because they have a very particular set of skills.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you could also play at that from that angle. That is your rookie. That is your like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Wow, we're going on a mystery. You got it. Why is that thing have no skin on its hands?
Yeah.
You know.
Great. Okay, so yeah, we've kind of talked through the one shot sort of story wise, and also how we interacted with it, and Tim, how you sort of ran and like did some parts of it. I want to, since we're getting towards the end here, what sort of were your feelings about the system in general? Any like notes that you would give somebody who wanted to get into this as a player or as a handler? Is it a recommend for like types of people who are in like, if you like X system, then you might like Delta Green, or do you guys have any feelings like that?
I mean, if you're going to run this game as a handler, just understand that it is intimidating. Literally, most of the game can be run out of the agent's handbook. The handler's guide is literally just that. It is a very thick tome, and it is mainly place setting. It is mainly literally to get you in the headspace. It tells you the complete history of everything.
Yeah.
Like every other country's version of the Delta Green, you know, like everyone's got a different one. They're not called Delta Green, what their angles are, what there historically was. There are stats. There are like monster blocks in there, like Cthulhu's in there. Most of the old ones are usually says like they can't be damaged, or they can't be harmed, or basically you're boned. Like you're not meant to fight these things. But they have that. They have some of those things. Hell, they tell you how to run if someone gets rabies. There's rules for rabies. But like, you can run the game mainly from the agent's handbook. That's where the meat of the rules lie. The handler's guide is there just to give you that, to put you over the top, because they want you invested.
Yeah.
And if you like being covered in a blanket of something, go for it. And that's what I like doing. I like being like, just put me in this setting. It's just, real life is terrible, but I can deal with this terrible. You know what I mean? Like, this is a stress and shittiness that feels good.
This makes me feel like my levels of anxiety are valid. Shade, how about you from a player perspective? Any thoughts, any recommendations, anything like that?
I mean, I think it's a really fun game to get into, and it's one of those games where if you are and then this is something I think that again our eavesdropper Franco might really enjoy about it. It's not a game with skill checks really per se.
Yeah,
it's a game where you really benefit from having any kind of improv. You know, if you are able to kind of like think about things and outside of the box and kind of like broadly extrapolate from like your example with like, oh, I've got this this tarp in my inventory. What can I do with that? That's going to really benefit you as a player in this game. If you're really kind of looking to just fight some monsters and that's really it, this is not the game for you, and that's fine. But if you're looking to kind of like get into the goop of like, okay, life is complex and things are frightening and terrible, it's amazing. The only other thing I will say is I find fascinating, this is in the agent's book, is it does, right? I think this is the agent's book. It talks about like real world police agencies, essentially.
Interactions.
Yeah, and interactions with them. And so there are some interesting experiences there. It's definitely, I think, on the more anti-fascist side of things. As a maybe you feel differently about this, Tim, but like I don't think it's like saying like, yeah, cop agencies or this particular like it's not really about that, but it does look at them as like they're going to be antagonizing you potentially, and it has some interesting kind of like feedback on that. So
it definitely does. It tells you how, like, if you run into I don't know, let's say ICE, it will literally break down like what's up their ass. How are they going to, like, how much of a fuck are they going to be, and why will they be this type of fuck? I don't know, maybe you see where I feel, but like but it breaks it down of like of just how to deal with it. Even if somebody wanted to be a POS from that as a Delta Green agent, fine, but like it acknowledges the fact like, yes, Delta Green is enmeshed with the federal government, there you go. So like US Marshals care about this and they're going to be assholes about that, that type of thing.
Right. I guess what I was kind of, it's not like watching NCIS or anything.
No, it's not propaganda.
Like, exactly. It's more like, cool, here's some real humans who happen to be tangentially tied to these things, and here's some interactions that you're going to probably encounter. And I think that's the kind of nuance we need in games. Personally.
And then as a player, like I felt no desire to be a militarized part of the government in any agency, like part of a cop or whatever. Right. And I found like when I was looking at it, you can kind of get most of the way to some of the like FBI agents and stuff in the fields by taking like firefighter or boxer or whatever. It's not like, it doesn't lock you out of stuff. It's like much more flavor wise of like, if you want to be Mulder and Scully or whatever, you can do that.
One last thing I just got to say, I'm gonna disagree with this forever. This is the one big disagreement I'm gonna have about this book. My character, who was an agent, a FBI agent, by default
CID,
had but by default had a better melee skill than her ability to fire a gun.
A firearm.
Not fucking in any reality is that it just doesn't make any sense. Your melee skill shouldn't be the primary. That's insane. Anyway,
I think it's trying. Yeah, you can. I make the argument that you are one with your own body, and thus that you have a better grasp of spatial awareness versus a what is the force amplifier, aka a gun. It's not part of your living ecosystem.
I would also say, like, the thing about it too is that fighting is so non-optimal in this game. And in some games they try to do the same thing by like, if you do damage, you get damage kind of thing.
No.
In this game, it's like, if you want to fight this crazy monster, you're going to be like destroyed on the other end, no matter what you do. Even if you do it really well, you're going to come out the other end of a meat grinder.
I equate it to tank controls from the old Resident Evil games on the PS1 and 2 era. That's really what it is, because it's not you get an action and an attack each turn. It's on your turn, you get to attack or do something else. You get to do one thing, make it count.
Yeah.
And it's beholden to the monster as well. Like
and also like the monsters, it's like if you're like, my one action is to run, I'm running
Yep.
kind of thing. Like most monsters can kind of catch up to you.
Yeah.
And so it's like you have to really, that's the thing that I love about any system, is that how much it requires you to try to think on your feet and think outside the box. And so I would agree with Shade that if you're somebody who's just like, I want to look at my sheet and be like, I'm going to do this crazy spell, or I want to do this because my character sheet says I can move like this, like that kind of guidance from your character sheet is not going to be something you really get in Delta Green.
Yeah.
Though there are, skills that are higher than others and that can inform how you approach problems. However, I always I feel like if you are somebody who feels hampered by a character sheet,
Mhm.
and instead you kind of want to just like think through the problems, it's kind of escape roomy in some ways, I think Delta Green is like right up your alley.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And real quick, there is magic in this game. You can cast
Yes.
spells, but casting magic comes with a cost.
Yeah, it's my favorite table, I think, that I've seen recently is in Merkburg. They have a spell side effect if you
Perfect.
like really screw up casting a spell, and there's just a table you roll on, and they are horrifying.
Nice.
It's like you can never open your mouth again, and like all that kind of stuff, like just awful shit that would happen to you. And it's like, yes, this is unnatural. you can't do this without any consequences. Cool. Any other final thoughts about Delta Green before we sign off?
I highly recommend it. I can't wait to run a proper campaign that I have lined up.
And I would say to Tim's point, like that handler guide, that book, I only read parts of the agent guide really, but even in that, the lore was super fun to read and was cool. Like I would recommend picking up that handler guide just if you just want like a cool sort of setting that you're interested in. You want to get more into sort of like SCP Foundation kind of stuff. This whole world view is like a really great way to jumpstart ideas in that. So I definitely suggest picking it up.
Yeah, and it's important to read depending what decade your campaign runs in, because what decade the campaign runs in affects what Delta Green is at in their timeline. Because there was a 30-year gap, basically between 1970 and 2001, where Delta Green was disavowed completely, and it was basically you guys you're still believing this mission, but there is no official support of any kind.
Yeah.
So
that's so cool. Anyway, if you are interested in stuff like this, you should listen to our podcast more. We release every other Monday, so feel free to come back in a week and a half, 2 weeks at this point, and we'll have another episode for you. If you want to get involved in other ways, you can always go to our Discord server. You can find that at our website, tabletoppod.com. Just click the Discord button. We love to have people there. Also, if you are an enemy of the pod like Tim and you want to tell us really what we need to be doing, you can also go to our contact form on our website, tabletoppod.com. We read all of them.
I'm not that type of enemy.
So feel free to leave any responses there. And of course, if you're interested in supporting us in other ways, you can go to patreon.com/tabletopped. We have modules. We have little things to add to your game. We also have a lot of extra episodes and other stuff there as well. So we will see you soon, and goodbye, everyone. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you for having me. You'll regret it.
Yeah, we will destroy you.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Ah!